Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Sork, Bravery, Jinx, and Golem. This is not going to be a good time for my team. But we will hang in there. We got Lipud, we got Heatmore, we got Zangoose. What can possibly go wrong, right? So I got a battle today for you against a guy called Revengeboyz. I figured I'd just lead with Bastiodon just to get up the rocks because, you know, he has Jinx, he has Bravery. I want the extra damage on him. But he leads with Vigoroth here. Now, my first thought was, oh okay, he's going to start setting up on me with bulk ups, right? And probably has Focus Punch, maybe Substitute. I guess I've seen that a few times on Vigoroth, but nope, turns out he goes for Taunt, so my plan to Encore him into some kind of setup move isn't going to work. So I go to Tentacle here, just to hopefully knock off his Eviolite. Luckily for me, he goes for Taunt. I guess he was expecting me to go for Toxic Spikes or something, but yep, gonna knock off that Eviolite. Going to Gothitelle here, because it's my physical wall, in quotation marks. I can't remember if this was my fully physical one or my fully special one, because I tend to always change around the EVs on my Gothitelle from time to time. But anyways, in comes Jinx. I go ahead and switch out, not really knowing what was going to happen, but I figure go to Bastiodon, get up the rocks. And this is where I find out that Lovely Kiss is actually quite common on Jinx. Before this match I'd only seen like, you know, choice Specs or Scarf with Psychic, Ice Beam, Hidden Power Fighting, and maybe Trick. But, you know, it's a pretty interesting set. I mean, Jinx does... I think Jinx is possibly the only Pokemon that gets Lovely Kiss. Maybe, like, Lopunny as well, but there's not many Pokemon that get it anyway. So it's a pretty good move to have. So I go to Lipud here, figuring he'd go for possibly Stealth Rock, but that doesn't happen. Earthquake does a lot of damage to me, so, you know, I'm glad I have that max HP investment. It's kind of a weird Pokemon to use because it's frail as anything, even with the max HP, so if you predict wrong, you're going to get destroyed by whatever attack they go for. But the idea is you kind of switch it in, hoping they'll go for some kind of setup move or, you know, I guess, Stealth Rock, anything like that, just so you can Encore them into it. And it does work kind of well in the NU tier, just because it's so quick, but now I taunt his Mantine. I figure he has to go for the Scald, so, you know, I may as well go out to Tentacle here. Go for a knockoff on the second turn, because I'm thinking now he's definitely going to switch, seeing that I'm setting up on him. Knock off this Bravery's Choice Scarf, which is excellent for me, knowing that, you know, now that he's not Choice Scarfed, he's not so much a big threat because I can easily outspeed him with my Lipud here. So that's what I'm going to do. I think I'll just go ahead and go straight for a foul play, not wanting to over-predict. I don't think it would have killed him anyway, but it would have been nice to get the extra damage on him. So I foul play the Golem, does a decent little chunk, and now I'm thinking, okay, Vinny, you can see the future. I'm going to predict the critical hit on the Golem here, knowing that it would take him down. And it does, which is brilliant. And when I say critical hit, I mean I predict the Stealth Rock. But either way, Golem goes down, and there's no Stealth Rocks, which is great for me. Now in comes Mantine again. I can't touch this thing at all, so I may as well go to Gothitelle. Now my plan here was to basically just want him to, like, pretty much just force the switch on him here. I figure he'll probably keep going for Scald, because there's nothing that Gothitelle can do to Mantine, barring that I don't have Toxic. Which unfortunately I don't, I have the T-Wave. So I'm just going to keep going for Mirror Coat until I eventually hit him and, you know, get a decent chunk of damage on him here. I think it happens here. Go for the Mirror Coat, and that does maybe, what? Actually, that's quite a decent chunk, almost half there. So now I'm thinking he has to switch because I am going to kill him if he keeps trying to do this. So here I'm going to predict the switch. Not really sure what into, but hopefully something quick. In comes Bravery. I'm happy, but I get fully paralyzed, unfortunately, so I can't get off the T-Wave. That was quite unfortunate, but, you know, I got to work with it. He goes for a U-turn here. I figure Gothitelle can probably take it. So I think I just go ahead and go for a T-Wave again. I don't really know if I expected him to stay in or switch, but, you know, T-Wave on anything's pretty decent. So Mantine comes back in. Pretty good play because a T-Wave on a Mantine isn't really all that important. It's probably a wall anyway, so I am going to go ahead and go to Bastiodon. I'm predicting the full paralysis. No, only kidding again. I thought he'd go for Scald, but I didn't think it would do that much anyway. Now he's going to go ahead and switch to Bravery here. I'm still fast asleep, obviously. Now I'm thinking, okay, first turn, I don't think he'll go for Superpower, but even if he does, I have the Sturdy anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and stay in. Just hoping he doesn't. Nearly up to full again, so this turn I protect. Luckily I do wake up, otherwise that would have been pretty catastrophic for Bastiodon, let's be honest. And I get back out to full, which is great. Now, I don't think he'll go for the superpower this turn, so I didn't want to go for the Metal Burst just then. I figured I'd save it till he was feeling in kind of a more desperate situation and then try and use it. So I go to Gothitelle here because it's pretty much useless to me at this point. It's paralyzed and it's almost dead. I feel like Gothitelle, if it had some kind of recovery move like, you know, recover, wish, whatever, it would be absolutely dominant. And, you know, when it gets its Dream World ability released, Shadow Tag, I promise you it will go straight up to OU because this Pokemon is ridiculously hard to kill with anything. It's taken, what, Choice Banded X Scissors from Ninjask and it almost completely walls Sork, so pretty damn good. Now here's where I find out his Choice Scarfed. I didn't realise this at the time, but again, you know, Lovely Kiss I saw on him, and for whatever reason I just assumed that if you're choiced, you wouldn't have any non-attacking moves because that would be weird. And it turns out he is, because that's actually quite a common set on Jinx, which does kind of make sense because, you know, obviously you're faster, you can put him to sleep, so I guess I should have really realised that, but yeah, Lipa dies, Bastiodon comes back in, does not care one bit for the superpower because I'm going to live with Sturdy, just go for a Metal Burst and take out this Bravery. Now obviously Bastiodon's pretty much useless at this point, but luckily I did get that paralysis on the Mantine earlier, which kind of comes into play in a sec, as you'll see. Now, you don't need to have used Bastiodon before to know that it probably doesn't have any speed, but defensive Mantine also has no speed and is paralyzed, so I know that I'm faster. I go for Protect first turn, which was a little bit unnecessary because he has leftovers too, so wasn't really much of a benefit. I go for Rock Slide here, just thinking, come on Bastiodon, you know you can paraflinch, and he does, which is great. Kind of weird because Bastiodon, you know, paraflinching normally only works on fast Pokemon, but yeah, he's paralyzed, so may as well give it a go. Get off another Rock Slide and take down this Mantine, which is great. So Bastiodon actually doing a little bit of work this game, taking down 2 Pokemon, but now Sork comes in. I'm not even going to attempt to switch out because it's really not worth saving Bastiodon. I figure Protect first turn, get a bit more damage on him with Poison, and just die like the honourable warrior that Bastiodon is. He did his job, I'm pretty happy with him. So I'm just going to die to an Earthquake. Now he makes the good play there and doesn't go for close combat just because, you know, obviously it would lower his defense and special defense, so, you know, going to Heatmore here. Actually, tell you the truth, had he gone for close combat there's a possibility he might have just swept me there and then, but I guess I would have changed the order in which I sent out Pokemon, so Heatmore would come in last. And, you know, because he did go for Earthquake, me sending in Heatmore here was pretty much unnecessary, but either way, what I'm going to do is, because he goes for Earthquake here, I figure Zangoose can take 1 attack. So I go into Mangoose here, who is in fact a woman, go for a Swords Dance on the switch, in comes Vigoroth. Now I'm just thinking, okay, he has 2 Choice Scarf Pokemon which are reasonably frail and lowish health. So Vigoroth will go down to a close combat, no question about that now that his Eviolite's gone. And all he has left is Jinx and Sork. But luckily I do have some priority on this guy. So, you know, them being Choice Scarf doesn't really matter. Can go straight for Feint, take them out. I have Feint over Quick Attack just because I feel like the animation looks better. And, you know, occasionally you come across something with Protect, which you can take advantage of, but yeah, either way, Feint is going to be enough to take him out after that +2, so that is going to be a good game. Really enjoyable match. Really glad I bought some kind of priority on my team in the form of Zangoose. But yeah, I feel like he might have actually won there had he locked himself into close combat. Not entirely sure, but yep, either way, that was a great game, Revengeboyz. Really did enjoy it. I am very, very glad I knocked off that Choice Scarf on the Bravery, and very glad that you went for Earthquake as opposed to close combat, but yeah, really great game. Glad I got to test out my Zangoose, and if you guys enjoyed, please leave a like rating. And with that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.